We're at G-Town Arts. We want to give you a little walkthrough of Re-Figurged, our show that's on view through November 22nd. Re-Figurged is a group show with all these wonderful different artists who are working with the idea of the contemporary figure and what that means in context in contemporary art. Over here we have some abstracted figures, which when you look at the details and in this piece, they are really these interesting organs that then make up the figure. Here down below, we have more of an abstraction, yet is still very figurative in the relationship to the space that it's floating in. Over here we have another figure, but there is no flesh on this figure. This is just an interesting, like, bones. Where has the figure gone? And through this vortex, this portal through another world. Here we have a Kathy Cole painting. It's actually a print, of a figure set in stillness and that idea of observation. Very painterly and intimate. And then we have the figure here, which is much different than the other pieces in the show. It's really subtle yet really beautiful, and that feminine quality of, the doily turning into the figure. Here we have another figure. This figure is not a human figure, it is a dog. And this is about the loss and the dog that is no longer with us and feeling that absence. You step back here, we have more figurative paintings, abstracted, and just really dealing here with just the human body, the nude. Different ways of thinking about that figure. To then, such a difference in this piece. This is a two-person combo team who made this piece, and this is really, I think, super interesting when thinking about the figure and thinking about, the digital world. And also I think a lot about, when I see this, I think about my kids and video games, and I just think it's so relevant and interesting. We have this figure here by Scott Lewis, who's the mystery reader. So we have that idea of looking, and then the photograph is also that idea of looking, which is really like a kind of comical, interesting play on the idea of the figure and our presence in relationship to it. Here we have another piece, which is also a little less traditional and really just a really great use of materials and playing on, the different concepts of femininity and all these things that are in her voice that are trying to come out. Here we have a Rosanne Walsh piece, also dealing with the figure and the absence of the presence in the face. And then back over here we have some really interesting, abstracted figures. This figure is like also, very animated, yet also like really reminds me of a pill. And that's something that, something that you take, but also something that you can see and see as an object, as an infiguration. This is a more abstracted piece, but yet still very figurative. This has so much detail in this piece. I feel like I need a magnifying glass to really look at it. It's a miniature. There's just so many wonderful things happening in it. Here we have more figuration, yet how the figure emerges through all these dots and all these shapes. These pieces are all made with anxiety medication mixed into the paint. So then that idea of that presence and the idea of the material and the anxiety that it really just creates just thinking about it with that being made into the paint. Here we have another figure piece, and yet there's the figure of the bird, and then there's the figure of the viewer behind the bird. It's a really fun, strong painting. And over here we have another figurative piece, and that's the idea of having that mask with the figure kind of appearing through the mask. And lastly, we have these really fun, figurative, animated jugglers. Once again, like a whole different kind of figuration. So come down to Georgetown Arts and visit us. We'd love to see you and hear from you. Thanks.